Hi everyone, Aidan here at the etrailer. Today we're taking a look at the Swagman XTC2 Tilt on our 2022 Ram 1500. The XTC is a platform-style bike rack that holds the bike by the frame. You can see that frame hook right here coming down on top of the frame and pushing it down into the wheel hoops. Now, because it makes frame contact, we do want to avoid carbon frame bikes and be cautious of alternative frame bikes. Because those alternative frame bikes have pretty aggressive shapes of the frame, these hooks don't always grab on super well. This one is kind of right on the edge for me. I would maybe recommend a bike adapter bar for this one and for any other alternative frames just to get a good solid hold on something rather than this slanted frame where the hook might kind of slip off. You can see here this one does have a little bit of play to it, whereas others typically are held in a lot firmer. With this, we do have the ability to tilt the rack away though. We've got a pin and retaining clip at the bottom that I can undo, and then just tilt the rack away with bikes loaded. Now, it doesn't tilt far enough to actually gain access to the tailgate and open it up. You can see pretty quickly it's going to hit the bike and the bike rack, but it does give you a lot more room to step in between here and get something out of the back if you need to. So you don't have to unload your bikes just to do that. I can reach over and grab something or even step up and get into the bed pretty easily if need be. Now, if you're looking for something that can fully clear, the Serra Super Clamp is pretty much one of your only options. Most other bike racks just don't stick out too far from the vehicle and they don't give you a ton of space between the two. The Serra Super Clamp does, and it's one of the only ones that will work with your tailgate. Other things to keep in mind is the 35-pound weight capacity per bike. As long as we're staying within that limit, we should be just fine, but be sure to not exceed it. Getting the bike unloaded is pretty simple. We've got straps in each of these cradles here that are secondary points of contact. You can see I've got mine on there pretty tight, so they're a little difficult to undo. That one's not as bad, but these just hold the wheels down into those wheel hoops, and then we can take off the hooks. Pressing in on this button to release the ratcheting mechanism, we can fully remove it from the mast. Now, it doesn't come with locks, but these are lockable. That ring there can accept the padlock to secure them. And then with those off, we can lift the bike up and away. I like to try to lift it over that center mast rather than work it around it. That center mast does present a bit of an obstacle. It makes loading and unloading a bit more difficult just because there's something in your way versus a bike rack that didn't have this mast. It's just open, easier to lift it away. And then I always like to replace these hooks and keep them towards the top just for clearance issues as we move and manipulate the bike rack going forward. With it like this, I want to get some measurements. Ground clearance is going to be the first. At this point right here, it's 21 inches, and at the very back end, it's going to be 25 inches. More than enough room. I don't think clearance will be an issue on this bike rack. And then we do add a bit of distance, coming in at 21.5 inches added to the back. It doesn't stick out super far, but it is something to be mindful of. With this bike rack, we can't fold it up against the vehicle to save space. So with that, you're pretty much stuck with adding 21.5 inches. This mast does fold down if you want it to. This could be another way to gain access to the tailgate. Unfortunately, it still will hit the bike rack as I lower it. I'll set it down very gently. It will hit the bike rack. And it's very close to being fully open, but not quite. I wouldn't put weight on here, and I honestly wouldn't do this myself, just because I don't want to scratch the paint. With that, though, we can fold this back up. And there is one unique thing that the XTC can do, and that's actually folding up the arms here on either side. Now, what does that mean for the vehicle? Honestly, not much. For me, I wouldn't drive with it like this because it's not like it's blocking anything when it's flat, but for storing it in your garage, this is actually a great way to have it because it takes up a lot less space. It's easier to just grab it by the post and carry it around. It's not a heavy bike rack, and this just makes it easier to carry and hold and store. Down at the hitch, it's working with our 2-inch hitch using the included adapter, but it'll also work with 1.25 inch. I would really prefer if it's just a strictly 2-inch shank, but it's pretty common for these entry-level platform racks to have an adaptable shank, so that's not too different than any other option you'd be looking at, and it does come with an anti-rattle bolt. It isn't the locking anti-rattle bolt, which I would really like to see, but again, not too big of a deal. It's something you can add down the road. Now for me, if I were looking at my other options here, I'd look into the Hollywood Rack's Destination. That rack is very similar. It comes with the locking hitch bin though, and it can fold up against the vehicle. Or I'd look into the Ceres Freedom. That one has a 60-pound weight capacity per bike, so it's a lot better for your e-bikes. Either way you go though, they're going to be a great fit for your truck here. Thanks for watching.
Here on our test course, we'll start by going through the slalom. This is going to show us the side-to-side action. This simulates turning corners or evasively maneuvering. Once we get to the full speed bumps, we'll see the up and down action. This will be just like driving in and out of a parking lot, parking garage, or driveway. Once we get to the alternating speed bumps, we'll see the twisting action. This will simulate hitting a curb or pothole or driving over uneven pavement.